causing me mental pain. Please leave me alone. Why you keep causing me mental strain? Please leave me alone. Why you keep causing me mental pain? Please leave me alone. Yeah, only thing you know how to do is just complain. Need a metal umbrella moving through this rain. It's like sleeping pale moving through the vein. My vein. Yeah, you hard-headed, but you soft and delicate. I'ma tell you now, could be doing better shit. Life is like a movie, I just need an extra clip. Give a dog a bone, but I ain't fetching shit. Yeah, you make me feel like I need a better bitch. Beating me some shit I should've never did. Check it, I ain't being disrespectful. Yeah, trust me, I ain't even gonna text you. The phoenix and the eagle think it's special. That's why you letting demons come and bless you. Bringing all these things into the bedroom. You can't truly be yourself. Would you truly need some help? Shit. Now why you keep causing me mental strain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental pain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental strain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental pain? Please leave me alone. We put an egg in one basket, but a diamond doesn't not become in flights. Look at what it wasn't. On the fucking that's for nothing. Beating people in the magic square underneath the couples that be struggling. You be pulling shit straight out your ass. Out of nothing, then it's something. Yeah. Girl, are you having a hard day? Yeah. Or you was waiting for foreplay? Yeah. I know you need the Lord, babe. Flying around the orange plane, yeah. That yellow and red chakras coordinate. Only got sunny skies, don't need no more rain, yeah. Itsy bitsy spider, it went up the water sprout. Down came the rain and it washed the spider out. Stay up in your lane when the fucking pilot's out. You always complain what the fuck you crying about. I was in the plane and you know I'm flying now. Just winding out. Why you keep causing me mental strain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental pain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental strain? Please leave me alone. Now why you keep causing me mental pain? Please leave me alone. Causing me mental strain. Yeah. Now why you keep causing me mental pain? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Mental pain. I'm going to have to deal with a little bit of mental pain right now because a lot of people got mental illnesses. That's probably like the whole world. It's probably like the whole world. Whole world got mental illnesses and things of that nature, walking fart clouds. So, you know, we got a little bit of solutions now. It's a whole lot of solutions. Right now, we're going to use astrology for one of the solutions. You know what I'm saying? For this live stream. There's many solutions, psychology, other mathematics, all kind of tools and things of that nature that you can utilize as far as mental formations to get your mind right, because you might be causing problems where there aren't any. And a lot of times, this is where a lot of our insecurities or mental illnesses come from, aka generational curses or things being thrown on us because we step outside and take a breath of fresh air, and it ain't really a breath of fresh air. It's really like a fart cloud that we just walked out, and now we got witchcraft played on us, and it's starting to play out like a peer pressure. And for the most part, it could be nobody even around you, but you feel this weird sense of you not accomplishing, and you just sitting on the motherfucking couch in the household, and there ain't even nobody around your ass, but you still feel certain ways and still feel like you need to get up and do something. So these are small ramifications of you having a mental illness due to the fact of the weird peer pressures that go on in the sky, all the way to the motherfucking golems that they're creating as far as witchcraft to have your ass feeling these weird peer pressures to put your mind on shit that you ain't got no business wasting your mind on, or the time that you're wasting your mind on. So a lot of these insecurities and things of that nature that the witchcraft of Walt Disney television and things of that nature created as far as what you're supposed to expect from yourself and what you think other people expect from you, these are things that you end up fighting before you even come outside. And a lot of these things ain't even how people observe you. And a lot of times you start to feel like you are these things, so you start to think that people are seeing you in this manner. Therefore, relationships can't be natural and go with the flow anymore. And when we talk about relationships, that goes beyond a partner. You need a relationship for anything: joining a business, creativity, circumstance, getting a job. You need to have good relatable skills, because you can't create no world by yourself in some way, shape, or form. Or if you're that creative, you're still gonna be isolated to a small degree without whatever that you're creative about actually getting the representation or the praise that it needs to do, so you can actually put yourself in a position that you can help another individual. So when you have a mental illness, you're not even in a situation where you can be useful for yourself, and you can't even be useful for another motherfucker. So getting out of a mental illness is important. And a lot of times we don't know we're in a mental illness due to the fact of all these words that the meaning behind it don't lead to mental illness. So you might be lost into a psychology word, not knowing from the root stage of it, it's an actual mental illness. And a mental illness ain't nothing but a blockage in a cage. And we're going to get into that also once we break down that 12 minutes. You feel what I'm saying? But when it comes into having a mental illness, right, a lot of times you can have one and may not even necessarily know that's what you got. And you'll find yourself not wanting the necessary help that God has given you via person, place, or thing, due to the fact of you thinking that you got it all together. But the more and more that you go throughout your life and see that you're not necessarily manifesting the things, or things is not materializing as fast as you see fit, is due to the fact of you having a mental illness. And a mental illness plays out in the 1, 2, and third dimension as a mental blockage. And anytime you have a mental blockage, that level of awareness plays out like a small world, where you lack the ability of awareness on knowing the many different routes you can take, or what you're seeing in front of you as an opportunity and how to reach another destination. And then a lot of times you end up blocking yourself from experiencing anything that's in the area of things that you want to experience in your life based upon your desires, your passions, and stuff like that. And due to the fact of this mental blockage, you're not looking at it as far as it being a mental illness. Due to the fact of the whole world and all the examples you see outside of you, all the way to the generational cursed parents we have and things of that nature. They're still able to live in society, make money, and obtain certain things, where these very same things that's developing into mental illnesses and mental shelters are not appearing to be that. So we end up thinking we're supposed to fight other things. And then this is when we get into spirituality, we get on online, astrology, and we create some type of fake version of it within our own life, which is really an excuse or a justification that really is another excuse for us not to do what God is showing us that we actually need to do. And therefore, us not knowing that's a goddamn mental illness, and us not knowing that's the actual thing we need to fight, we end up creating a whole bunch of circumstances that put us in docile situations, procrastination, lost fights that's not worth fighting, picking the wrong battles. And a lot of the battle be inside of you. So before you even think you're fighting any outside demon and somebody stopping you from doing something, a lot of times you have to look in the mirror and see, is you stopping yourself from doing something? Because a lot of times y'all don't even be having anything to present to even complain that you're getting gang stalked. Y'all don't even be having anything to present important enough to complain that the government is shutting it down or stopping you from doing anything. So these are small justifications of you missing previous opportunities and you not even being in the position that you want, yet you explaining yourself from the position that you think that you in. And for the most part, without the materializing or manifesting from it, this letting you know you're in a small form of a mental illness, where you're judging yourself based on a position you're not in. So even when opportunities come, you may even develop mental states of, I'm too good to do that, or I deserve more, or I should be praised, or I need more attention. And this leads you down another trail of manifesting more resistance between those energies, because you're not even stepping on the ledges God give you in order to develop any reputation or reciprocation and things of that nature, for you to even be in any position, for you to start judging things from a distance. Why you not thinking that you're in a distance, but you thinking you is in that space, because it's a form of mental illness. So you have to be careful of that also. Because, you know, a lot of times y'all can see individuals like this when you're doing something creative, right? And say you're around someone who's not creative as you. But as soon as you start to materialize or manifest, they got all the ideas in the world of what you should do with it or what you shouldn't do with it and things of that nature. That's somebody's judging you from a distance, but they're not in your position. But since they somewhere sitting down thinking about if they was in your position, if you allowed them to be around you long enough to kick that rhetoric, eventually they're going to start thinking they are in your position without being in your position. So even when they're not around you, they're going to start coming up with ideas of how people looking at them the same way, how they need to do this in the same way, and they're going to be missing a whole lot of opportunities that's on their level for them to even reach your position due to the fact of them being in a mental illness, thinking that they're already in your position and carrying themselves out in that magnitude and things of that nature. And these become internal narcs a lot of times, not being aware of what kind of situation that they're placing themselves in because they don't know that they're in a mental illness. Yeah. So you got to keep that in mind too. It ain't froze, is it? This might just be, it might just be on the other galaxy because I got it planned on the other galaxy, but for a second it froze on it, but nah, it's good. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of circumstances and stuff like that that we are participating in that creates mental blockages because we're not aware that it's a mental illness. And a mental illness, we're getting ready to break it down what it actually is because I know those terms is harsh. When you put illness next to mental, don't nobody want a mental illness and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? People don't even want bodily illnesses and stuff like that. That built insecurities to make you feel like you don't want to present yourself in what you know you deserve in some way, shape, or form, or what you know you can manifest in, or the potential of something if it's far as a creative gift or talent or a relationship. But a lot of times we be in circumstances where we create a lot of mental blockages due to the fact of not knowing it's a mental illness when it started to accumulate before we started to even experience the blockages. Once it starts to accumulate in our lives and we start to see it based on the events, the current events, because we're not dealing with our chakra currents in the right way. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. A person would think that's pseudo because a person like me is saying chakra, and it's just a different term for handling your emotional state. So chakra is just one term for understanding you have a masculine side to you, how you intellectualize things, and you have a feminine side to you, how you deal with your emotional intelligence. And you blending these things together, we just got other names that we like to call them, divine masculine, divine feminine, or whatever like that. But the moment a person want to say I'm pseudo and I'm breaking it down, how you can relate to it in your reality and how you actually doing what I'm saying, the moment you become pseudo and you become creating logical fallacies and stuff like that, because I hear a lot of stuff that people doing online and stuff like that, and it's like they watching me from a distance or something like that, so they like secretly want to say something but can't say it because they know their knowledge will get washed away barking up this tree. Other than that, I stand corrected in anything that I say. Shut the hell up. Now, other than that, let's get into mental illness. Now, mental illness, anytime a person needs a mental crutch or have to use a system to help them with something emotionally or mentally. Let me repeat, what is a mental illness? Anytime a person needs a mental crutch, right? When you don't have it all mentally together, you need something else to uphold your mental state, which is going to be an outside object, whether it's a religion, whether it's a book, whether it's a science, however the case may be. But a mental illness is anytime a person needs a mental crutch to use a system to help them with their emotional stability or their mental stability. So anytime you need a mental crutch to help you with that, that's what a mental illness is and things of that nature. So things that you see people into as far as religion, science, and things of that nature, it's not to say these things are good and bad. It's just you have to observe it. Everybody get into something based on what they went through first. And 9 times out of 10, the world is based on traumas. So the shadow government have created artilleries, religion, and things of that nature for a person to utilize. But they're always going to go straight to the scriptures, or they're always going to go straight to the science that's going to help them liberate themselves emotionally, mentally, and be able to physically make some material out of it or something like that. So always remember that. So when it comes into a person stepping into something, but they don't actually need these things in order to have mental stability, all the way to the point that you could be piss poor broke without a pot to piss in at the bus station, but you could still have some mental resilience and things of that nature, then you don't have a mental illness. Because regardless of the external circumstance, you're not getting ready to jump in these things based on what you're mentally going through with life. And that way, whatever you jump into, you're able to have equilibrium and unbiased and be able to use it to the clearest perspective. So you're not here. So even if you jump into the religion, you might jump into the scriptures that help you. But for the most part, you don't need that Bible to help you. So you're not out here trying to fight the Bible tooth and nail with other individuals. You're utilizing that Bible just for your self-realization, because that was the filtering system that kind of matched however you was already helping your own mental stability. So understand the difference. People jump into things based upon a mental trauma and utilize it to cover up some type of insecurity to appear intelligent or to appear that they got it together, quote unquote, mentally or emotionally or physically. Then you have people who don't have mental illnesses, right? So they don't need these objects in the external world in order to help them emotionally and mentally. So when they do use these things in a world to help them, this is a person who doesn't have a mental illness. So they're not getting ready to express a mental illness in no way, shape, or form where they just sound like they arguing like bitches. Now, here's the thing. Now, sometimes having a mental illness can lead into using one system to destroy the emotional state that created the mental illness. But what happens, you might turn the system you're using to destroy that mental emotional state into a god. And you might turn that negative state that you're in, that you're trying to escape from, into an enemy, into a devil, into an excuse to justify why you're not doing things that you know you're supposed to do. So here's how we create enemies. Here's how we create false senses of thinking you're getting gang stalked. Here's how you create false senses of reality of thinking that someone is stopping you. But these are only situations if you are a person that's in a position of not experiencing a lot, so you're not developing a lot of mentality in a certain area. And you might have been taken care of a lot. You may have not had the opportunity to do a lot or experience a lot when it comes to relationships or jobs or life or dealing with people. So you find excuses to stay in that situation. So it's like a small percentage scale of being scared of life or being scared to interact with the world to a certain degree. Even if you got gifts or talents, you're scared to put yourself out there to a certain degree that even if it was to get rejected, you know that you wouldn't even be able to deal with it. So you're trying to find witchcraft and videos online and things of that nature to make you think that you could develop some type of spiritual witchcraft ritual to start to express yourself where you don't have to ever experience rejection or opposition, which doesn't exist. Rejection and opposition is the tools that you need to experience in order for you to get from point A, point B to C. So a lot of times you can be in a situation where you haven't done a lot in your life, and then when you start to get that internal divine spark where you start to have a purpose and you want to start creatively expressing yourself, you're stepping into unfamiliar territory. So subconsciously, you're going to be trying to find for comfort zones, aka any image, form, person, place, or thing, spiritual system that relate to where you've been at, aka what's familiar to you, not expressing yourself, not doing things. And you might blind yourself into thinking that the reason why when you get up and try to do what you want to do, and the reason why it's not manifesting or materializing, because you're not doing something right to a certain degree. And then that puts you into a circumstance where it's not that you ain't doing something right. It's just that your mental illness that you're in to a certain degree is you creating false delusions that you're not doing something right. And when you start to think you're not doing something right, you start not doing things and start to think you need to do the wrong thing better. And then for the most part, all of that leads into procrastination and stuff like that. So you have to be careful of too. Be careful of that too. That we're not trying to find things subconsciously like it's an easy way out. Where really it's just something that's familiar with what you're already familiar with. Not expressing yourself, not putting yourself out there, not, you know what I'm saying, expressing your mind and things of that nature. And then when you get that spark to start to do so, subconsciously your mind be trained to look for the easy way of doing it. And when you find like traits of the easy way of going about it, the easy way of going about it is really just energies that match when you wasn't doing it at all. You see what I'm saying? And you have to be aware of that. So you'll be thinking that, all right, you'll be thinking like, all right, yeah, I want to do what I want to do now. But you'll find yourself spending time throughout the day finding shortcuts, finding things you can pay to do it, not doing it genuine. You know what I'm saying? Finding people to do the work for you and stuff like that. And for the most part, that's when you put yourself into that docile situation. When you start to look at the negative portion of the emotions, and it's a mental illness that you're lost in to a certain degree, where since you wasn't experiencing, soon as you want to start to experiencing, your mind start to train itself to find the non-experiencing moments again. Because you really be kind of scared or nervous or just hoping you do everything right the first time. And your way of going about that, in your heart, you got good intentions. But if you're not doing the right shadow work, you won't be able to be aware of what you're actually practicing is trying to find something that mimic when you wasn't doing nothing at all, because you're not familiar with expressing yourself with life, because you probably lack experience with relationships. You probably didn't have a lot of relationships. Probably didn't have a lot of friendships. Or your way of doing it was self-centered. You probably was an only child. You probably was in a circumstance of being spoiled. When I say spoiled, I'm not always talking about money, right? You could grow up in a poor neighborhood, but the way the neighborhood is constructed, it's probably a gang, probably weird peer pressure. So before you feel comfortable expressing your true self, you want to be relatable first and not look unnormal. That's what I mean by being sheltered. So it can be any, or it could be you spoiled too. But just help you understand the unbiasedness of it and things of that nature. It doesn't always be just because you're from a certain area that is it's the end all and be all. So when it's time for you to actually go out and about in life, your mind already subconsciously trained to find a familiarity when you jump into unfamiliar situations, new experiences. And your shortcuts of how to do that is really your brain subconsciously training you to always find a new version of that familiarity again. And a lot of times it blocks you from fully going for your opportunities. It puts you into being 1 foot in, 1 foot out type circumstances and situations when it's really time for God wanting you to go for it, for whatever that you need to do. Now, here's the thing. Now, being aware of what you're dealing with is the point. So you can know what you're actually, so you can know what's actually causing you to do what you're doing. For an example, let's say you got this creative gift, but you just come up with this weird idea that the shadow government is stopping you, right? Now stop. Think about every instant of your thought process every second of the way and reach the actual trait that's making you do or react the way that you're reacting. And then really observe it. Is it worth reacting to? Is that it is even the truth of why you're reacting to it in the first place? Is that even actually the cause? Where did that energy come from? Did you make it up or did it actually come from somewhere else? Was it directed towards you based on negative intent? Or did you develop it based upon what you're just aware of and what you just start suggesting in your mind? And then once you start to get all that mental inside shadow work conversation with yourself, then you're going to really reach a conclusion if it's a mental illness or not, if that's actually the blockage or not, and if that's the thought form and feeling you need to get rid of. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of times we don't go that depth into the self-evaluation of what's causing us to do things or what's causing us to react to things certain ways. You see what I'm saying? So it ain't what we aware of, it's how we are aware of it. And with the wrong filtering system, with the wrong moral compass, with the wrong emotional intelligence, with the wrong logic, you might be receiving something through the wrong experience. So your way of reacting and responding to it may be wrong and things of that nature. And that's a form of a mental illness because you have certain blockages there that have been accumulated from certain experiences that develops into traumas that may be so small on a percentage level, you're not seeing it as a trauma. So it's a way that your subconscious mind is already trained to develop events in your life. And if you don't know how to catch that, this is what keep causing mental illnesses in ways where you can't even say that it's a mental illness because the world is constructed in this manner. You know what I'm saying? For an example, a mental illness is almost as simple as a person being frustrated that they woke up too late for their job. And let's say they keep thinking about that every day and things of that nature. That's you allowed the world to develop a mental illness not on you. Now, I'm not saying don't care about your job, but how you let it affect your internal world. It ain't what we do, it's how we do things. How you let it affect your internal world is your ability and someone else who not you to be able to look at you to pinpoint your mental illness or not. And a person who develop a mental illness off that too much, right, will even be a frustrating person to be around because this person allowed their job to build their character. So this person is a frustrating person inside because they don't like the work. Outside, they just express you having to walk on eggshells around them with things that don't even have anything to do with their job because you're their family member or something like that. And if you're not the more emotional, intelligent one to have that conversation, for they could be aware of what kind of spiritual space that they are in, and for they could be aware of their mental illness, then you could be the more spiritual adult one, even if you're younger, or the child, to be able to help this person be aware of they have a mental illness and they need to stop bringing the emotional trauma of them not wanting to work onto the family in other areas because they food wasn't cooked on time or something like that. So it's World War III in the household because the food ain't cooked on time. Where really we know that's not the actual issue. The actual issue is you just don't like to work late. And you have allowed that job, even though you need it to support your family, you still allowed, it ain't what we do, it's how we do it. You allow it to affect you internally in a way where it's playing out negatively in other areas. But if you allow that job to affect you in another way, you won't be bringing this negative energy that you don't want to work anyway to the household. You will be able to separate that and be like, yeah, this is an emotional illness and I don't need to take my frustration out on my family, and I need to know at work I need to be there to support my family. So let me take this anger and in a more productive way. And you might even, God might even give you a creative idea that if you direct it in a productive way, that creative idea make you be able to quit that job because you're making more money off that business, and you was able to take that check from that job to do so. And now the job won't even frustrate you because even if you got to work a little longer before you build it, you can smile at the job now because you know you get ready to quit and you got a purpose behind it. So it ain't even frustrating you either. You can't wait to wake up because now you got another purpose in life. You see what I'm saying? You're not just working to work. You're working for a purpose, a goal, a creative gift, or a talent. So the whole purpose is being aware of what you're dealing with to the point you can know what's exactly causing you to do what you do. What's exactly causing you to react how you're reacting. Therefore, before you react or before you do something, you're able to do it in the most clearest perspective, aka without the mental illness. Because we be passing up jobs, opportunities, ways of making money, good relationships, family relationships, partnerships, all kind of stuff based on a mental illness. And then when God brings someone in our lives that can help us with that, we're not seeing it through that filter. We're seeing it through a rose-colored glasses, all puns intended. And that rose-colored glasses, you're seeing it through the glass itself, on the lens itself, is a whole bunch of trauma, insecurities, mental illnesses, blockages. And you're not seeing the full perspective. And therefore, if we have to do a lot more shadow work, so we take the rose-colored glasses off, so when these things is presented to us from God, we're able to see it clearly, regardless if we experience a negative or positive situation. We know that it was something presented from God for us to withdraw, so we can know the know-how to go to our next portion of life. Or you just a person who just want to stay stuck, dice out in the position that you are in, and you're justifying it why it's the best decision, which is not. Now, this incense oil candlesticks I got from Hebrew Israelites YouTube. Appreciate y'all if y'all like that flight button. Now, this live stream right here, we're going to be able to get into a tool. So astrology is just one tool. All of these are different forms of psychology. And with a psychology, understanding the human psyche. So, you know, you don't want to have a bias towards anything. All things has a tool. And, you know, since a large portion of my audience is into astrology, I figured I could be the first tool right there. That's most easiest for my audience to understand until we start going deeper into it and things of that nature on other live streams. All right. So for the most part, now, so when we start to think about mental illness, this is going to be correlated to your nerve systems. So indirectly, the houses of the 3rd and the 6th, but it's going to be all the mutable houses. But before we get into that, it's going to be a correspondence to your Mercury sign, because your Mercury sign works your nerves before you have something to express with your solar plexus. So Mercury is somewhere between here, like as the fluid itself that connect all your double joints. And then the nighttime of it is below the navel, the 6th house. So this would be the 3rd house above the heart, below the neck, throat chakra, 2nd house. And that's the daytime of Mercury, water cycle, before you crash that water cycle with another atmosphere to produce a light, a solar plexus in that area to see the world through that character or that expression. Thank you so much for the donation, Cynical Dre. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Real shit. I mean, real stuff. And the nighttime, below the navel, right? Above the waistline. The waistline, 7th house, the navel area and the sternum and the gut, the 5th house, tribe of Judah house. Leo house, where the solar plexus rule. So right beneath the navel and above the waist, that's where all your nerves spring off to connect all your double joints, like your shoulder blades, your lungs, your kidneys. You have all your veins, your wires. So Gemini and Mercury play as our connection system, our wiring system, our double jointing system. So Gemini play as the third house, but it's really everywhere in your body that has a double joint. And Virgo is the sixth house, but really everywhere in your body that connect all the double joints, your veins. So this is what work your nerve, the third and the sixth house, Virgo and Gemini energy. This is what work your nerve. And if you overthink, Gemini, overanalyze, Virgo, this what makes you develop mental illnesses all the way down to physical illnesses based on the mind bending in on itself and becoming a fleshly fluid, which is adrenaline. And if you do it too much in one area and not spreading it out based upon having calcified chakras that you're not paying attention to, being aware of your other cells, this develop tissue in areas, because that's how blood accumulate. It makes tissue once they clump up in one area, and once it clump up, it's on its way to making like how we make organs, but you're making tissue in the wrong area, which develop illnesses that we call cancer, diabetes, you know what I'm saying, lupus, all kind of stuff. So if you got Gemini or Virgo on your chart, especially Virgo, and we all got that in our chart, that's going to be the area of life where you could develop an illness the fastest. So you have to be careful if you think too hard about that chakra and that organ, if you don't understand medical astrology and Kundalini energy, where you can force yourself to heal things by practicing discipline and getting out of lower desires that develop as tissue and illnesses. Learn how to not make your mind so heavy, making it lighter. And therefore, once it's light as ma'at, you're not developing illnesses in your life based upon having mental and emotional intelligence. You see what I'm saying? It all comes together. So we're going to get into each Mercury sign, and we're going to get into each house every individual have to pay attention to, utilizing astrology as a tool if you want to get out of certain forms of mental illnesses. Now, this is just a tool, so it's not going to be the full cure. We got to get into other forms of psychology. We got to get into math. We got to get into the science of it, the anatomy, with how we build adrenaline and stuff like that. That's when we start getting more deeper. Right now, this makes it easy right now for, my audience and, individuals who are into astrology, because this is an easy access to at least cure it a little bit. Now, here's the thing. What you're going to be doing is forcing yourself in these situations because they're not naturally you. When we start to talk about the Mercury sign, it's how well you can utilize your Mercury sign for the opposite energy, the opposite zodiac. For an example, Taurus, your Mercury and how it's utilized, how well you can take that energy and use it for Scorpio type things. Now, little do y'all know, anytime you're going through an uncomfortable or unfamiliar situation, you are experiencing the opposite element. For an example, let's say you see something you don't like, or you act a certain way and you don't feel as comfortable about the decision that you made before you acted upon something and other people seen it, right? 9 times out of 10, you're in a situation dealing with your opposite element. The people, places, and things don't even have to be that sign, but the situation itself is more percentage level of the element of your opposite element. See what I'm saying? If you're dealing with something when you're emotionally reacting to something and you can't find an emotional connection to make you feel comfortable, so you're in that little fight or flight mode from whatever circumstance it is, right? Your moon sign is in a situation of dealing with the opposite element at the moment. So that's another underlying kicker y'all need to know. Anytime, because astrology is a tool, anytime you are experiencing an uncomfortable situation, it's because the situation energy is dealing with the opposite sign of whatever planet situation you're dealing with. If it's Mars, that's anytime you're dealing with your passions, motivations, and desires. Say something feel like a blockage, or it feel like somebody arguing with you, or it feel like somebody competing with you. It don't matter what sign they actually are, the situation that's causing that event, on a percentage level, it is mostly the element that's your opposite sign in that area. So if your Mars is in Scorpio, the situation you're dealing with right now is a Taurus element. So the only reason someone competing with you or something like that and your passions feel like it's getting blocked, right? 9 times out of 10, it got something to do with somebody not having enough money about something, somebody arguing about money, you know what I'm saying? Or something not being grounded, something not being made sense out of before we making our decision to go for something. Like that's going to be the competing energy. That's going to be the frustration you meet. But you have to understand you're actually fighting in front of you the opposite element at that moment. Anytime you experiencing some frustration or some blockage or some not being able to come to a decision or misunderstanding with the outside world. Venus. Anytime you're trying to deal with love matters, appreciation, value, compromising, and things of that nature, and it seems like it's hard or you can't get it together or something like that, even if you're married at the moment, and then y'all start to get to a situation where y'all have to argue or something like that, 9 times out of 10, the situation and the event is the element of your opposite sign. You know what I'm saying? So let's say if your Venus is in Gemini, right? 9 times out of 10, when you're trying to express or compromise with your partner and y'all arguing for a compromising, 9 times out of 10, the compromising going to be about somebody leaving the house too much, somebody being gone too long, traveling, somebody not focusing, being grounded, somebody not using their money for productive things, hippie stuff. You know what I'm saying? AKA the situation is involving your opposite element, Sagittarius. It never fail. Watch, I'm telling y'all, start putting this to the test and start keeping a dream journal and keep a journal for this too and write it down every time you see it. And be like, oh, so all I got to do is learn how to use my energy for the opposite energy, and I could prevent those type of situations from happening. So, but it never failed. Take that science to the sun, your actions, your wants, how you see things from others and how they see you, your mood, your reactions, your needs, and what makes you feel comfortable and what you think what make other people feel comfortable. Mercury, the way you think, communicate, and analyze, and the way people convey their message to you via communication, right? Venus, we just broke that down. Mars, we broke that down. Jupiter, you know what I'm saying? Anytime you're unable to travel, experience, it's hard for you to learn something, even if you're in school, right? It might be a subject matter in school, right, that is hard for you to learn, but it's other people in that classroom seem like they easy. It's easy for them to learn that science or that math or whatever like that. 9 times out of 10, that classroom element is more of your opposite sign of your Jupiter. See what I'm saying? And since Jupiter moves a sign every year, right, then we're going to have to get into details. It might be the opposite element, just in a different modality. So it might sextile or something like that, but you will still have to take that to consideration. In this aspect, it's still an opposite element. See what I'm saying? So that's why you have to find the opportunity to learn it, aka take more notes or something like that. So it'll still be like a negative sextile playing out. Y'all get the drift? So for the most part, like your Jupiter, your Jupiter can be like in mother trucking Capricorn. Right? And anytime you start to experience a blockage of being able to expand on your business or something like that, 9 times out of 10, the reason to that is because you arguing with a family member or something like that, or it's hard to obtain privacy, or it's hard for you to really conduct something, or you ain't got nobody around you can use because they too much in their emotions and their feelings. AKA, you dealing with a situation that's dealing with Cancer, your opposite energy. And that's why your business ain't expanding when you're meeting those situations of frustration at the moment. Y'all get it? Some sad. And it would never fail. It'll never fail. For an example, I'm an Aries, my sun sign. So my actions, anytime it seems like I'm not getting my point across, somebody see me in a negative way or something like that, or they see me in a way that I'm not actually are. They think I'm too aggressive or something like that. And I got to feel like that 9 times out of 10, no matter the zodiac sign, I'm experiencing a situation that's dealing with my opposite element. There's no balance there. I wasn't communicating right. I wasn't communicating relatable enough, or someone who was communicating to me wasn't communicating relatable enough. We could create no balance. So it became competition or argument. So y'all get it? It never failed. It never failed. So now when I notice, I know anytime I'm in a situation, I know to take my Aries energy to express it for more relatability and balance. Therefore, it prevent me from manifesting people who always want to compete. Now that makes me a higher octave Aries, which allows me to be Dolo the Pilot Man and actually have a community online. Other than me being Dolo the Pilot Man and it's somebody everybody hate. And I'm not charitable and I'm not relatable. Y'all get it? See what I'm saying? That's an example of someone who do shadow work. Thank you so much for the donation, King Indigo 369. You said don't stop to read, please keep teaching. I have to retire for the night, but this live stream is fire. Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, I ain't even get into the Mercury signs yet and the houses that everybody got to look towards in order to understand small tools to be able to help your mental illness a little bit, at least set you on a path to start getting into other psychologies even before I go live again, so you could pick up little, rituals and spells for yourself to help your mentality. Because once your mind gets set on a good path, you start being at the ocean to make your own cup. You start not being a swine and becoming your own little leprechaun and make your own gold and pearl. I'm saying real stuff. All right, now look. Now, Mercury signs. So let's say you got Mercury in Aries. So with Mercury in Aries, you have to learn how to use your passions for your relationships, so or to share space with others or another, which build mental ease. Because you don't feel like you have to think for yourself and others alone that long. Once you start to participate in this energy, you'll start manifesting others that got that kind of same mentality as you. And now you can start to have a mental ease and not feel always exiled from the world. Because Mercury and Aries signs always feel exiled from the world because of their way of thinking. So learning how to use your passions for relationships, not just for how you're supposed to think all the time, for your relationships or to share space with others, because that built mental ease. Because the moment a Mercury in Aries could share space with another individual that's into the same things as them, because that's opposite from Libra. Libra is how we bring both of our things together. Aries is how we can have the same thing. So for the most part, when you can find a person that you can be into the same thing with, you build mental ease, which get rid of mental illness, because you're no longer in this trauma that you for your whole life never knew was a trauma or a mental illness. And anytime you're doing something, but you got somebody else doing the same thing you're doing, and they're taking half of the job, and y'all both got the same destination, that get rid of all mental illnesses for Mercury and Aries. Okay, now look, not all of it, my bad, because this is just a tool that'll help it a little bit. There's other tools though. Now, Mercury and Taurus, right? Mercury and Taurus is learning how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface. You got to be a little bit beyond just that check, or a little bit beyond how you be perceived, so people don't look at you like you don't got the know-how or about something, or look down on you. Mercury and Taurus, you got to learn how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, or for more emotional depth. Because a lot of times y'all get so practical, you use your emotions to get out of the emotional funk other people is in or you in, and you'll make yourself busy for more order or practicality or for other things. And sometimes this lack the true emotional connection you need in order for relationships to be the way it needs to be for you to truly feel fulfilled. So you could truly open your mouth and say you love someone in a genuine way, which may take 90 years to get to, being a Taurus. But at the same time, because y'all stubborn a little bit, you got to have some other alignments in your chart to make you a Taurus just freely saying I love you for no reason to people. You know what I'm saying? That other planet and that other element and alignment is forcing you to use your Taurus energy to get love and things. So you got to be careful, Tauruses. But in a nutshell, Mercury and Tauruses, learning how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, Scorpio. Or for emotional depth. Learn how to use your stability for the emotional depth, though. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, you will start to have more emotional intelligence, which leads to you having a way to get rid of mental illness and things of that nature. Because Taurus mental illnesses play out as making themselves busy. So anytime a Taurus heart broke or something like that, you may not see it at first because the way how they deal with their emotions. But if a Taurus, if it looked like they're being too busy about something, they going through an emotional damage at the moment. They're going through a heartbreak. They're going through somebody proved them wrong about something. Something that the way they express it is making themselves busy. Now, Mercury and Gemini. But yeah, finishing off with Mercury and Taurus. Learn how to use your practicality in things that's deeper than learn how to use your practicality for things that's deeper than the surface level, or for more emotional depth, what helps emotional illness by having more emotional awareness and intelligence. Now, Mercury and Gemini, learn how to be more hands-on than open to advice or information all the time. So being hands-on is like Sagittarius, adventurer, experiencing, Jupiter. So learning as you go. Sometimes this can make Sagittarius be a fool, but we're talking about you, your opposite sign, right? Where you have to learn how to think with the Mercury and Gemini. You have to learn how to use your ability to obtain information or use your ability to think, but use that to learn how to start to do things more hands-on before needing advice or full information all the time. It's okay to have a few conversations to get ideas, share ideas, or for the most part, to put yourself into a situation where you want to receive the right information first before talking about something or going about something. But the more you know how to take that way of doing something and still go out and experience something hands-on first, the more that you're going to learn more feeling intelligence, right? And you're going to prevent a lot of mental illness, because a lot of mental illnesses that come from Mercury Geminis is over analyzing things before communicating, is overthinking about things before actually expressing that idea. And for the most part, that becomes mental. So you have to have some equilibrium with your opposite energy. Every now and then, try to not reach for advice all the time or information or learning something before just doing something off the experience and learning during the experience. Learn how to use both. And therefore, you'll be in a situation where all those events, negative or positive, that you force yourself to, all those outcomes will be for the best, because you get rid of mental illnesses and develop more know-hows and stuff like that about your energy and your capabilities and incapabilities. AKA, those small times that develop mental illnesses won't be there, because you develop mental illnesses by thinking too hard anyway. So those days that you extremely think will be replaced with just learning on experience more and not waiting around for advice or trying to get the right information about stuff. And you might not know what's happening behind closed doors in the spirit world, but that's actually you playing equilibrium and getting rid of the times that actually would accumulate into a mental illness, overanalyzing all the time. See what I'm saying? Because you're already going to do that as a Gemini anyway. Now, Mercury in Cancer. This is going to be learning how to use your emotions or privacy for more useful things that can build off with that you could build things off of with yourself, family, or others you're close to create connection with something, to keep the mind having a purpose. So, Mercury and Cancers, y'all mental illnesses get developed by you not having a purpose or your mind not being busy. So your mind is left on what family support or not, or what you should do to help a family, or what you should do to emotionally secure yourself. None of these things be practical. Now, for the shadow government, they created a lot of jobs that got something to do with these things, so you might not know if this is emotional blockage or illness or not, because we got jobs like marriage counseling, we got jobs like daycare, we got jobs, you know what I'm saying? So a mental illness may not be perceived due to the fact of how the world is built, but a lot of emotional trauma and mental illnesses for the Mercuries and Cancers come from this. And for the most part, the more that you know how to use your emotions and your privacy for more useful things that can build off with yourself, family, and others, aka built off Capricorn and things of that nature, right? That can be stable and useful, not just you always being in a mood and blaming the environment while you in that mood. You using that mood for something important or more productive, and since you already got this strong mood, emotion is directed in a more directed area. So whatever that productive area is, strong mood you got get transmuted to make people to make your family and people that's close to you around you to care about whatever you doing, and to make them feel guilty or to make them feel like they're gonna get cussed out by your mood if they're not participating with that productive energy you putting it in. So that's how it can be used for something productive. If you're not directing all this Cancer energy for nothing productive, it's only going to be used for victimizing, claiming people not supporting. You know what I'm saying? And then Mercury in Cancer becomes very negative, and you're not building. So when you take this trauma and think somebody not supporting, take that lack of energy and direct it towards something productive and make these people care about not supporting that productive thing. And then that's how you transmute that. Instead of making people care about your feelings, you're making people care about what you're throwing your feelings into. And that's how you transmute it as a Cancer, Mercury, and utilizing the opposite element. Now, when it gets into Mercury and Virgos, right? So to develop a little bit of esoteric pills to ease this little mental illness in the esoteric world for Mercury and Virgos is learning how to use your worrying or your ability, because you're going to worry. Virgos, y'all had no choice. I don't even know a Virgo that ain't got something wrote down on their calendar. You know what I'm saying? Real shit. You know what I'm saying? And my mama a goddamn Virgo. And this goddamn shit. So ain't nothing none of y'all can tell me. Trust me. Ain't nothing none of y'all can tell me about no Virgo. You know what I'm saying? Now, other than that, but like I said, Mercury and Virgo, learning how to use your worrying or ability to keep in order a task of your dreams, emotions, or creativity, Pisces energy, and be a little bit more emotionally open. Stop worrying about if it's perfect or not, so you could build comfort, aka get familiar with and start to get comfortable with uncomfortability or rejection. And you may not always even experience a rejection. You may, this was a lot of you Virgos fail to realize. Sometimes y'all spend so much time worrying if you got it right. You still think you don't got it right. But when you actually present it, you actually get it way better than someone you thought had it right. But you never even put yourself in that position because you never think you got it right. You never think you got to perfect it. Not knowing that little energy you put yourself in has a gift and a curse to it. The gift is, if you actually stop worrying and stop and thinking that and just think the imperfection is the perfection, then when you present yourself, you'll really start to realize you went overboard. You actually learned too much. You actually know how to do it too good. But you never develop that self-value sometimes if you're not around the right individuals in your life to speak those good energies around you. You might be around a bunch of people that always speak about failures first and other things we have to do to make sure something done right first. You might not be around people who speak good life into the environment, speak good life into the conversation. You got to be more around people like that as Virgos, especially as an upbringing. Because if you're a Virgo ascendant, sometimes you manifest people around you who ain't even Virgos, but that's their life. So it end up becoming your personality to always worry about things and always having to worry about the worst thing can happen, even if you didn't even jump into the thing yet to do it. But yay, Mercury in Virgo. Learn how to use your worrying or ability to keep in order and task of things and focus that on opposite energies, your dreams, emotions, or your creativity, or being a little bit more emotionally open, which builds comfort so you can start getting rid of mental illnesses and things of that nature. Pardon me. So you got to practice that equilibrium balance between everything don't need to be on a calendar. But it's good that you are a Virgo, and people need people like you who know who can keep things on a calendar. So that's not saying don't write things on a calendar. It's just saying everything don't need to be, when it comes to your dreams and things you aspire to do, sometimes you just got to do it and know that you're going to go through a rejection and know that it's not perfect. And therefore, whatever you get ready to put on your calendar is just this new way of adjusting what you have experienced, and you wouldn't know how to do that if you didn't experience that rejection. And you're not always even going to experience rejection. So therefore, that develops already you get rid of why you be nervous and worry in the first place, because you are already expecting the things that people go through as experiences that develop nervousness in the first place. And when you start to calculate those type of things and use your Virgo for those type of energies, before you know it, in the middle of the situations, you're not even worrying. Your mind is too busy doing other things because you're already having a set purpose to what you're actually doing and what you're expecting and what you're aware of. Now, Mercury and Libra. Learning how to see yourself through the lens of the devil advocate. I mean, hold on, Leo. My bad, because I ain't say Leo. I skip Leo. Mercury and Leo. Learning how to see yourself through the lens of devil advocate, aka learning how to see yourself outside of yourself a lot more. So you could be more aware of how you're coming across to others, which build emotional intelligence, which helps with mental oh shit. Almost bit my tongue. Which helps with mental intelligence, which helps with mental illness and give more clarity on being sure of your decisions, if it's right or wrong. Because a lot of times Leos and Mercury's and Leos are unaware of how they're coming across to other individuals. So when other individuals start to give them get back energy, like to make the Leo feel like they're doing too much, and when the Leo look at how they was expressing their character and start to come to the conclusion like, wait a minute, I ain't doing too much. A lot of times you may not be seeing it from another person's perspective and things of that nature. And you're only able to see it from the stage that you have created. So, because you want an audience. So a Leo made up the concept of good or bad publicity is good energy in some way, shape, or form. So when we start to talk about Mercury and Leo, you have to learn how to be more of the devil's advocate to yourself, which is the Aquarius energy, right? And learn how to hate yourself sometimes. And I'm not saying actually hate yourself. I'm saying learn how to put yourself in the shoes of someone else if they was to dislike you. So you can make up a figure in your mind and be like, all right, yeah, I'm this Mercury and Leo, and this how I act, right? Or this how I think and communicate. And create a golem in your mind that you would make up if you was around someone who don't like you. And then create this character and communicate with this character every day. You know what I'm saying? Just make up things that you would think another person wouldn't like you about. And what you're doing is you're creating a Aquarius golem. That's what you're actually doing. You don't even gotta learn about Aquariuses to do that. The moment you're doing something opposite, you are a Leo. You're doing that, it's automatically Aquarius. So whatever you do, it's automatically gonna be Aquarius. So don't worry about trying to learn about Aquarius. And the moment you create this little enemy friend in your mind, and then come up with all the concepts and things of that nature, of how this person would dislike you, and then come up with weird outcomes of how can you convince this person to like you in some way, shape, or form, right? Now, what you're going to start to do is you're developing your subconscious mind. And in this time, you're so busy, you're not even thinking about mental illnesses either. What's going to happen is when you do start to express yourself and you're a person that's a Mercury and Leo, and you got mental illnesses, what's going to happen is you're already going to have a heads up of how you see yourself and how you think other people see yourself, even if they're not seeing you like that. But you're going to have more emotional intelligence to be able to spot out the signs that a person would do, even if they're not saying it. It could be a body language, facial expression, a weird energy that they're giving you. And you'll be able to see these signs ahead of time to be able to decipher if you expressing yourself in a negative Leo Mercury way that may be a mental illness that you're figuring out how to get out of by being aware of this, by doing that self-evaluation of what I just taught you. See what I'm saying? And therefore, boom, that get rid of mental illnesses. To a small degree. Because there's more tools than astrology. Now, Scorpio. No, Libra. Because we did Virgo. Now, Mercury and Libra. This is learning how to use your way of thinking and communicating for more things that deal with your passions, desires, and feelings, which help you connect with others on a deeper and a more emotional level. Because the thing that happens with Mercury and Libra signs is y'all forms of connection isn't really deep. So how y'all be thinking y'all be in deep connections be purely mainly on the premise of you just knowing about somebody's business. You just knowing somebody's ins and out. You just knowing when they go to work. You just in a relationship with them and y'all probably balancing something out. Y'all share something or y'all sexually invested into each other at the moment. So y'all have deep conversations. But when it comes to an emotional stability, what you Mercury and Libras fail to realize is whoever you connected to, your partner, friend, or whatever like that, like it, y'all don't know what a person emotionally be feeling about y'all. Because emotionally, a person be feeling like y'all always trying to think for them. Or y'all be always thinking y'all know what's going on with the situation or what's going on in somebody's mind. Y'all don't, this what y'all be failing to realize, Mercury and Libras. Like a lot of times y'all have relationships with y'all family and friends and stuff like that, and every now and then you feel a weird energy, but based upon you being a communication sign, you manifest outcomes of it not looking like anything wrong at the moment. But when you start to feel weird energies and stuff, right, which you are unaware of, it's a full fart cloud that's going on that you created, and you don't have the emotional depth that you think you do. You just think you do based on your Mercury is in Libra. But the weird energy that you're feeling is the people around you may not be saying it, but they're observing you like you think you know what's going on with the situation all the time. And you think just that conversation means you know how everybody feel and stuff like that too. And a lot of times you will make a person not even express their feelings to you on the pure basis of they know all you get ready to do is talk them out of it or make them sound like they don't make sense to be in that emotion. And you don't be knowing you're in relationships and you don't be knowing that's the dynamic of it a lot of times. So when it do reach times of, like, let's say you married to somebody and at a point of no return and you guys get ready to divorce, and you be thinking, you be calling and you be talking and communicating and you be in your mind thinking like, damn, why it ain't no way I can communicate or whatever like that to get things resolved? Why it just seem like we can't get back to why this ain't right? Because what I'm explaining right now, you never had that emotional depth to understand that. And sometimes that don't take conversation, that don't take word. And it take a body language and in this kind of connection at like we hear, where it don't even have to in an eye and an eye and an eye type of conversation, an eye for an eye, where it don't even take a conversation. Your partner could have in their mind and make up certain situations where if y'all was in a situation, they could make up in their own mind how you would act and be like, yeah, they're acting in that way and I'm comfortable with that. And you will be able to make up scenarios in your mind based on how your partner acting and be like, if we was in this situation, they would act the way that I know that I need them to act, how they acting now. And that didn't take no conversation. See, that's like a occult esoteric way of connecting. And sometimes Libras, y'all don't know how to build that with others based upon you just being a Mercury and Libra. So keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? Now, somebody said, I'm a Scorpio moon, though. I mean, I don't mean nothing. Like, a lot of times, y'all be getting Scorpio mistaken with you automatically be deep. Like, because, like, I swear, like, 90% of Scorpios in my life wasn't deep for nothing. And when they be explaining that they deep, it purely be what someone taught them on astrology. So they be like, yeah, I'm a Scorpio, I'm deep, and nothing ever deep come out their mouth. Like they be in the sports, they be in all kind of dumb shit. The only deep Scorpios I ever met was people I was close to, and they had a little bit of me rubbed off on them. But yeah, you having Scorpio on your chart don't necessarily mean you deep. You know what I'm saying? And emotionally deep is different than just being deep thinking you know something. Emotionally deep just means you just take things too far. So Scorpios be needing to learn how to bring things to the surface level. Things don't be that deep in the aspect of you might go through an experience and start feeling a way about it that it ain't even that. Like it ain't even that deep. That person ain't even mean it like that. Whatever you coming up in your mind or your heart, that's what we talking about deep. We not talking about deep with Scorpios as you being more intelligent than somebody. We're not talking about that kind of deep. We talking about deep that sometimes you go too far. You know what I'm saying? You might cheat too far. You know what I'm saying? Or you might have a conversation and take that sports conversation too far. You know, we talking about taking things too deep like that. Man, don't get wet off these words. Now, for the most part. Now, so when we talk about Mercury and Scorpio, right? Now, Mercury and Scorpio, this is learning how to use your deep passions, motivations, and desires for more practical matters or surface level things, which built more mental stability. So you guys got to learn how to use your in-depth and your intuition for trying to get the right job, for trying to bring things to the surface level, for tourist-like things. Or you're going to remain in la la land, thinking it ain't la la land in some way, shape, or form, because you're taking something too deep. So your ability to go deep, yeah, that's cool. But if you could transmute that into a productive area, things that actually make sense, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, then therefore you'll start developing circumstances in your life where you'll start to realize, yeah, I wasn't supposed to go that deep. And then that start to get away, that start to separate you from all the situations you put yourself in that develop mental illnesses by going too deep on things that didn't need to be that deep, by having this mental training with yourself. That's what I'm saying. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius. This is learning how to use your experiences or wisdom or learning things as you go, right? To take the time to actually learn the information or to communicate with someone before coming to a conclusion of something. And it's going to help you stop mental illness. Because a lot of times this would make Mercury and Sagittarius do things before thinking. Sometimes somebody could be giving advice to a Mercury and Sagittarius, and that alone like start to feel like or put the Sagittarius Mercury into a mental cage. And for them to get out of a cage and be free, they would disregard some good knowledge somebody trying to give to them just on the simple basis of the Mercury and Sagittarius having an inspiration and somebody trying to tell them how to do it. And it don't matter if they're giving them the right advice or not. That interaction itself, the Mercury and Sagittarius start to see that as a cage, or this person is stopping them from doing something. So they're seeing it through the filtering system of this person is trying to stop me from something. Not the filtering, not the actuality of this person is trying to give them some information or communicate with them on a better way of going about something. So therefore, the Mercury and Sagittarius get lost in their feeling or their mental illness and actually do something that they could have done a lot better because they already in that energy of learning as they go. So they're supposed to learn as they go, even when they're receiving information and communicating with others. And therefore, just putting that energy in a more productive space where that time they would have been in that space developing mental illness after they have done something that they wish they would have constructed in a better manner before doing it. They won't be in those situations anymore, and they will have natural equilibrium, and they'll be away from those circumstances that create mental illnesses in their life. So learn how to still be hands-on and learn on experience, still using the information that you have learned or the ability to communicate with people along the way. And that develops the calcifying the mental illness and not allowing you to be perceived as a fool, you being perceived as a person with true wisdom. Now, Mercury in Capricorn. Mercury in Capricorn is learning how to use your status or a way of restricting yourself for more home-based things or private or for privacy. See, the thing with Mercury and Capricorn individuals is sometimes there's things you probably need not to say. There's things you probably need not to express. And you be in this energy of trying to use things or use people, and you always place yourself into a situation where you're the one who end up getting used. So a lot of times when it comes to Mercury and Capricorn, you have to learn how to use your ability of restricting yourself or your status or how you're trying to use others in more private sectors first. You know, sometimes the Mercury and Capricorn may express something that they have, and in their mind, they're doing it in the context to use someone so they can maintain getting what they're doing, but they'll be manifesting people that take advantage of them in some way, shape, or form, and the Capricorn end up manifesting people that they can't even use, and then they end up being used for the thing that they was using to attract people to use. So the Mercury and and this for all Capricorns really, but we're talking about Mercury and Capricorn right now if you got mental illnesses. A lot of times this develop mental illnesses because throughout those experiences, You end up not knowing who to trust, and this redirect your actions in the world that play out as a mental illness. So keep that in mind. Also, being a Capricorn and Mercury. Mercury and Capricorn. So for the most part, learning how to use your status or way of restricting yourself for more home-based or private matters, or bring more or be more expressive emotionally. Therefore, a person know what you are aware of, so they know how far to treat you when they start to try to use you. And therefore, this will create events, negative or positive, to help you know how to deal with mental illness. So keep that in mind. Then you can have confirmation if there's even a certain family worth adding to your business or not, or if they have a business worth your support or not. Now, Mercury and Aquarius. Now, this is learn how to use your way of thinking and networking and devil advocate energy and associations and how you associate yourself with people, places, and things, right? Learn how to use that energy to set the stage for something more creative or worthwhile giving attention to. Not just you complaining about why we shouldn't give attention to something. Use that ability for something we can give attention to. Leo energy. To create events to show you what you need to start having your mind on. Negative or positive, which built mental strength. Because, see, what a lot of Mercury and Aquarius seem to do a lot of times in their life is put themselves in situations where they play the devil advocate with themselves so much that their enjoyable way of associating themselves with family, friends, or at work, or with their creative attributes and things of that nature is purely on the basis of how much we should not like something. And a lot of times it becomes like Aries, just filtered through the Aquarius and Saturn and Uranus area, aka just being unique. So it's not technically new, but it's just unique because it's destroying something that's already there. But after a while, it becomes repetitive and tiresome, because eventually, once you take something away, a person is going to want something to be replaced there. AKA, once Aquarius burn themselves out, getting attention from everything we are not supposed to like, eventually we're going to start to look at Aquarius and be like, okay, what are we supposed to like now? And if you don't got that creative thing that we could detach from with you somewhere in space, then you're going to alienate yourself and find yourself looking at everybody you manifested as stupid and then ghost them without no emotional explanation. And it's really just you manifesting attention and don't know what to do with it because it's all the wrong attention. And you have actually played devil's advocate with yourself and made yourself the devil. Now you got to go somewhere and recharge before you align yourself and associate yourself back with family, friends, or at work. And if it's a job, hopefully you ain't quit before you reach that mental conclusion. But other than that, because you probably was a no-show too many days. But Mercury and Aquarius, learning how to use your way of thinking and networking and associations to set the stage for something creative, worthwhile, or giving attention to create an event to show you what you need to start having your mind on, negative or positive, which build mental strength. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind also, because eventually you're going to start to create mental illnesses just due to the fact of you constantly thinking about what to dislike all the time. And then when you start manifesting a group of friends and they're not talking about stuff that they don't like, you end up start looking at them like they're stupid based on the things that they're talking about that they like, not knowing that you have reached a fork in the road with your relationships when it comes to enjoying ourselves about things we don't like. And if you don't understand you reach that point with your relationship, you're going to start isolating with these people and reach another crowd where people like to talk about things that they don't like again, to that burnout. And you might make this new association or this new crowd more of your family than your family, or more of your social crowd now than your previous one. Then people might start looking at you like you all over the place or something like that. Y'all saying that's how sometimes y'all Aquariuses manifest things. You know what I'm saying? Where the fuck did I drop that shit? I must have dropped that shit. All right, so, and then Mercury in Pisces, right? Learning learning how to use your imagination for more practical things, Virgo, that you can set on a task, on a calendar, or on a schedule, so you could work on it or develop a calendar around it to start a discipline around it, which built mental strength to keep going for your creative endeavors. So you Pisces have to learn how to be more calculated when it comes to your imaginations and your dreams, and learn how to get out of your emotions and things of that nature when it comes to that. And you're supposed to use it for that. So you're already going to be emotional. You're already going to be in your imagination. Now, do you know how to do it like your opposite energy? Do you know how to take it and put it on a calendar, put it on a schedule? Do you know how to have consistency? So this imagination, whether you experience resistance from the world or people saying that's a stupid dream, it's a delusion, all of these situations that you may not even go through is still needed to craft and readjust so your dream that once was a delusion can actually be creative. Or you just gonna stay in la la land and scared to present it anyway, to even go through any situations to reach your destination. You see what I'm saying? So Mercury and Pisces, you have to learn how to use your imagination for more practical things, like so you can set a task. So this dreams and imagination, start putting them on a routine, a pattern. Start putting it on your calendar or writing it in your planner, and start having a discipline. And before you know it, all that emotional illness or mental illness or unemotional intelligence that the Mercury and Pisces is going to develop, they won't have no time to be in those positions of developing it, because they too busy of can't wait to experience the next date that they wrote down to practice their discipline of encapsulating their dreams and expressing it out. And they're expected to be rejected even if they do that situation and don't get rejected. And throughout all these experiences, you forgot to deal with your mental illness. See what I'm saying? Throughout all these experiences, you forgot you had an insecurity at the moment. Throughout all these experiences, you too busy learning about life and you forgot what kept you in the house. See what I'm saying? And before you know it, your mind built and you got less on a percentage level of mental illnesses than you had before. Now you could go beyond into other tools and stuff like that. Now we're going to get into the houses you need to look for. Because the main houses, this is another tool that we utilize with astrology, because it's the Astrology Live for tools. So the main houses that build mental illnesses is the experiences that you go through in the third house, because the houses is each area of your life. So third house, sixth house, the mutable houses, third, sixth, ninth, and 12th. The experiences you go through in those houses is how you develop mental illnesses also. So especially when you don't got a planet in one of those houses and it's naked, it take another person that got a planet that got a planet in that sign to come in that house and affect your life in that area. And whether they got good advice or they're the wrong crowd or not, they're always going to have a little mental authority over you, and you're going to kind of look to them on what to do or what not to do in that anytime you experience an event in that area of life. And because you ain't got no planet, no awareness in that area of life to combat it. So it would take that situation, that the influence of that person, place, or thing that's playing out as the element of the zodiac of that area of your life, of that house, is going to take that experience to force your spirit to be aware of those situations, to develop the know-how and the not know-how. Other than that, though, that's not the house you're naturally paying attention to in your life when it don't got a planet there. So you're not naturally good at that house. For an example, when you ain't got no planets in the third house, your friends sometimes have a more mental authority over you, or your environment, because you don't got no planet there, no trait there to participate for you to be that for someone else who don't have a planet in their house, or for you to involve yourself. So it takes experiences from other people to affect that house, to make you pay attention to it, for you to be aware of it, to know the ins and outs and the traumas that you may have. Other than that, if that house never get influenced, you won't never have a know-how in that house. See what I'm saying? And if you want a job in your life that got something to do with the energy of that house, you need extra training than the average individual, especially a person who got planets in that house that represent the element of that job. They'll probably be able to comprehend and catch on to the job faster than you. because they already got planets that know how to work with that element based on how that job is made up. Because this is how the shadow government make all the jobs and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Shit like marriage counseling and stuff like that. That's like 7th house and 4th house type shit and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Things that deal with education, teaching, knowledge, philosophy. That's like 9th house type stuff. And, you see what I'm saying? The education system, as far as like math or schooling education and things of that nature, that's more like 3rd house type stuff. So they be building sectors out of energies and traits and stuff like that. So each house, so the third, so the 3rd, 6th, and the 9th and the 12th house, which I'm getting ready to break down. It's whether you got a planet there or not. When you force yourself in these areas of life, whether you're experiencing a positive or negative situation, you're able to take these circumstances and be able to learn your capabilities and incapabilities. And throughout these situations, that built more confirmation, more surety of something, more abilities of having courage to make a decision about something. And just that alone, get rid of mental illness. Because what happens when you have a mental illness? You're in an indecisiveness. It's hard for you to reach a conclusion of something. It's hard for you to make a decision of something. So any tool we use that builds decision making, that reach solution making with a little bit of confidence, automatically get rid of the mental illness behind the thing. You see what I'm saying? So keep that in mind too. Let me do this real quick, and then we're gonna dive right into it. See, stuff like this is what need to be taught in schools. That's why I shout out to all the females in the soul group and all the men that's in the soul group that's here right now. But this is the type of mind frame I'm trying to put the divine feminine in, even the divine masculine. But you know, I'm a man, so I'm always talk more to the divine feminine. That this is the type of thing to support. And when you get knowledgeable enough, you got possibilities of being a teacher also. But the divine masculine need the divine feminine. There is no attraction beyond money. I'm not even talking about that right now. Energies won't even get paid attention to. Anything, objects, something to sell, anything, if ain't no feminine energy involved. If females not paying attention to it, it has no importance in the world, period. And that goes all the way down to what even make a man get up off their ass. Excuse my French. All the way down to society and everything, and what make men go out and build the world. So we need to understand stuff like this needs to be in schools and things of that nature. And if we don't have a lot of the feminine energy supporting stuff like this and watching stuff like this and getting their mind taken care of by listening and learning from stuff like this, so when they act out in their regular life, each one teach one. The world has changed, right? And then everyone spark each other's mind, right? To the point that everybody, because when the woman is in a more good easing space, the world is in a much more easing space. When a woman is in a negative space, the world is in a much more negative space. Because the man is the one who built the world, and the woman is the one that the world is being built for. So when the woman is in a negative space, men is chaotic because they don't got no world to build. When a woman is in a good space, the men don't got to be out here chaotic and in competition to fight over no twat. Because everybody is in a comfort zone. So we're not fighting out of the necessity of a need. So our fight will go towards another area, and it will be directed in a more productive place. And we'll all fight the good fight. But each one teach one. And I'm trying to get it to that level where I'm not just in a position where someone is wet and fanned out. This is serious. Not just, oh, this is dolo and a person is catching weird vibes on their own that leads them to not supporting what's real in real life. They're lost on the internet and looking at it like, oh, this person think about me this way or whatever like that. Then it's watch me from a distance or something like that. And then they just go about in their regular life. And we trying to change the world here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what people be into. But it's time to start taking life serious. Like, I don't know what people be into. Don't just drink up all my knowledge and things of that nature and then try to secretly. That's why I wish it was a way we can block YouTube channels. As far as, you know how you could block people on IG and Facebook and stuff like that, because we're going through a weird energy vampire time where people will use your energy for themselves and be a copycat of you in their own life without even supporting you. And you'll be catching weird fart clouds if you don't fully separate from that energy to not allow these individuals to do it again. This could be your family, friends, associates, and things of that nature. Anybody who know you, and let's say you got some energy where you're getting confirmation. So you're manifesting, you're materializing, you're being fruitful. You're going to manifest a whole bunch of esoteric vampires and parasites like I told y'all throughout this year. It's at an all-time high right now. So here's the thing. Your energy could be getting drained even when a person is not around you. So you can have a person steal your character, and they could create narratives around it for themselves and actually draw a crowd to make your energy and convince other people how your energy is negative. And this is a vampire right here. You know what I'm saying? This is what's going on right now. And you got to fully put yourself into a situation where you fully detach and you cast out the words so other minds can't never get it messed up. Anytime an esoteric vampire or parasite try to put themselves in that position. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I couldn't see the name. You could very well have a family member prevent you from getting a job right now. You could very well have a friend prevent you from going for your goals right now. You could very well have a coworker or an associate right now that could stop you and block you from putting time into your creative gifts right now. It's like that deep. And you could be around an agent who don't even know that they're doing it because they're lost in the world because they bullcrap for the last 3 years, so they need something to cling on to. And you just might be that person at the moment. So you're going to get a whole bunch of suggestions on, you should do this, you should do that. Why it ain't work for them? And if you sit there and allow this person to be around you like that, don't be surprised if you feel drained, even when they ain't around you. Don't be surprised. They probably going telling other people your dreams, telling other, that alone make you drain. And that ain't even harming you from your goals. But eventually it's going to accumulate and harm it because the freedom of you reaching that opportunity may be blocked a little bit based on word of mouth and reputation if you allow this esoteric vampire to keep going with it when it was at an early stage of it not really affecting you. Like, it's that deep. I'm telling you. It's that deep. You got to understand what's going on around you right now. It ain't no joke. They messing with money and all kind of stuff. You think you ain't about to have somebody in your life mess with you that same kind of way because they at their last ropes? I'm telling y'all, it's crazy right now. Now let's get into the houses so you can know how to deal with them. So learning how to force yourself to experience events that control the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and the 12th house is going to allow you to know your capabilities and incapabilities. And within those experiences, you kind of forgot that you had a mental illness. See what I'm saying? So, and that's a good thing to forget. So anytime you at the crib pondering and you slide back in one of those mental illnesses, you're able to look at it from a less percentage scale, aka more from an outside in or a 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So you're more aware on how to deal with it now. You know what I'm saying? Be like, oh, okay, let me not take that outside. That's the feeling I used to be in when I was going outside. This experience I just went out and had, even if it was a negative one, I know not to carry this other feeling that was phony before I go out, because I'm opening myself to new experiences and awarenesses now. Now you're on track. You see what I'm saying? That's an instant toothpick. I just picked my tooth with. I got that from a Hebrew Israelite Muslim between 46 and Amsterdam. All right, now look, check this out. Now, the third house, whether you got a planet there or not, if you want to help your mental illnesses a little bit, these are the areas of life that you have to force yourself into to a certain degree, right? Learning how to deal with your environment and way of communicating, forcing yourself through negative or positive situations to develop your networking strengths, which creates a cure for mental illness. Because now you may even develop a situation where you could be or feel a part of something, or a group or friends, a group of friends. Because a lot of times mental illness develop from the lack of being a part of something. And a lot of people just want to feel like they're a part of something. And a lot of times, a lot of mental illness come from that. So in the third house, this is another tool on how to deal with mental illness. Sometimes you got to force yourself in your environment. Sometimes you got to force yourself amongst people to see if they're actually your friend or not, if they're actually into the same thing you are in or not. And then for the most part, based upon those positive and negative scenarios, you're able to separate from the space that you no longer need to be in, so God could put you in a space so it can start being fulfilled with the people, places, and things that's supposed to be there in your environment. And therefore, this will also prevent you from wasting time if you've been currently wasting time with friends or an environment that don't help you persevere in your creative gifts and talents. You know what I'm saying? Now, sixth house. Learning how to make yourself busy with something productive to direct your frustration or insecurity. This is going to be a lot like Mercury and Virgos. Learning how to make yourself busy with something productive to direct your frustration or insecurities to make something work out. To make some work out of it. Let me go back. Learning how to make yourself busy with something productive to direct your frustration or insecurities to make something work out of it, which builds mental security and stability and also gives a purpose for your mental illness to be directed towards things that benefit you and can become a job for yourself or others, or the ability to build discipline mentally. And if you do this energy enough, you could become a psychologist, or you could become a person that help others that got mental illnesses or certain circumstances. I forget what these job names is called. But anytime you're dealing with a mental illness, force yourself in your sixth house. Make yourself busy about something. Your mind is going to be taking this trauma and building some type of subconscious training where you start to, if you do it enough, you subconsciously to train your brain and your mind to take the things that frustrate you in your life and to make a comic book out of it, or to make a song out of it, or to go audition to act or to be an actress, or to use it to learn math or science. So you're putting your illness in some type of discipline now. And the more you make yourself busy, you're taking your insecurities and putting them on some type of schedule, some type of plan. For an example, let's say you're a person who you have a hard time dealing with relationships. So you develop an insecurity based upon your previous relationships, right? Start putting that insecurity, and instead of you sitting around moping around of, oh, I need the perfect relationship next time, how about direct that insecurity into a song, or learn how to make music and be the anchor for people who got insecurities dealing with relationships in their life. It's 1,000,000,000 trillion people as an audience out here for everybody of all walks of life. And therefore that insecurity, now you got it on a schedule. You got a date on a calendar where you always go to the studio because you got a new insecurity you want to complain about. Somebody pissed you off, some frustration, your job ain't paying you right, you worried about your next level in life, right? You always got a new song you get ready to take that check and pay for that studio time to go frustrate about. Now, instead of all that worrying being played out on your family and at work, or when you're alone, that frustration is being took somewhere productive. Now, when you force yourself into the sixth house, yeah, you might have a lot of people say your song suck. Yeah, you might have a lot of. Now, I'm just using this as an example, but eventually you go through the ups and downs that's needed to learn what you're good at and what you're not good at, and all those situations, you forgot to have a mental illness. At this time, you like been caught on to something that had a potential. Like let's use this for an example. You might suck that music so much that the people who told you sucked, and every time you went to the studio, Those experiences gave you advice that you was better at engineering. Then when you made a beat and start to engineer, that might have led to the other person paying you. Then all that led into you reaching something still. Like, if you get what I'm saying. See what I'm saying? And throughout that whole time, you forgot to deal with a mental illness. See what I'm saying? Because you already in the game. And when you in the game, like John Madden, you already expecting rejections. So a lot of times you learn so much, you go overboard. This little rejection you expecting, you actually knock the ball out the park. You hit the ball out the park. And you be like, dang, let me stop devaluing myself. I didn't stress myself out to learn so much. Then when I presented myself, I'm actually getting everybody intimidated. You know what I'm saying? Let me chill out. You know what I'm saying? Real stuff. This is how you get your mind right. Getting your mind right. Now, the ninth house, right? Now, the ninth house is learning how to receive knowledge for the right things. Because a lot of times the ninth house will put us in situations where we're just developing things based upon virtual signaling. So, based upon a trauma that we're into, any religion, science, grandma's advice or whatever like that can help that trauma, we end up believing in what they said more than what we're using it for. And then we create our own concepts about what just helped us with a trauma. So we might just got beat up at school. I'm just using this as an example, female or male. And you might got beat up at school by a bully. And your grandma might tell you, oh, look, with Jesus Christ, you got the holy might, right? Now, later on in your life, that Jesus might have helped you with not getting bullied no more, but then you started to add other things about it and things that ain't even got nothing to do with what it helped you for in the first place. See what I'm saying? And you will use that wisdom, that ninth house knowledge, that intellect, that moral. And then once you go in your life and start to see these things not working in other areas, and then you see other people prospering using morals that's opposite to yours, you start to question yourself and that God you just made, that grandma just gave you, whether it's Jesus or not, the atheism, whatever you're using to help you with a trauma. And every now and then, this is how we get lost into the delusion or flunk la la land that places like the ninth and the 12th house, Jupiter signs could put us in. And it goes even deeper in the 12th house because it's ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So it take our faith, belief, and imagination, our faith, belief, wisdom, and knowledge, and turns it into an illusion in the 12th house. It turns Jupiter into a delusion also. But here's the thing. When you get out of this energy and force yourself into the ninth house, when you're scared to travel, you still travel. When you're scared to learn something new, you still learn something new, even if it goes against what grandma taught you or what you familiar with. And when you act out these energies, in the meantime, you will start to realize a lot of your mental illnesses came from you experiencing, ninth house, experiencing things in your life that went against your moral system, that worked in other areas, that made you feel comfortable, that really wasn't situations that dealt with life and everybody. It was the situations that was just small in the home, you and your parents or your siblings, and just at school before you started to have to bring yourself out in life and become an adult and a teenager. See what I'm saying? So a lot of times moral systems crash in our lives just based off age due to the fact of ninth house get built at a very early stage, and a lot of things that helped us at an early stage don't deal with actual life, but it helps us at that stage of our life. And then it takes us to go through experiences getting older to see some of these things not working in actual life for us to readjust the moral system of our upbringing and the indoctrination that the ninth house can develop. So when you jump into this area, right, learning how to receive knowledge for the right things, or how to take the right advice, or take the right experiences to have faith, belief in, for the sake of obtaining your mental ability and shit like that. So for the most part, that means don't be scared to travel at times. Don't be scared to do these things at times. And when you force yourself into these situations, everything may not go right, but you learn something. And throughout the time in those experiences, you actually put yourself into a position where you could teach somebody else something. Even if a person need to actually travel, because you got internally and external travel. Internal travel is this going the distance in the mind, thinking more far out. Externally traveling is, going to sightsee and going to learn something new. So when you just do these things without thinking too hard, and sometimes you got a mental illness that prevents you from experiencing, whether it's traveling or not. When you do these things and you go through situations like being caught in the middle of the road or things of that nature, and when you do get back to a safe haven, you actually be in a position where you could teach others how to go about something to not experience that. And if you're witty enough, you could develop a job, because there's a lot of jobs out here that deal with that and things of that nature. And you actually find yourself even having a job to teach people how to do things. See what I'm saying? And before you know it, you making money and you forgot to have a mental illness. You too busy teaching others with one. Now, 12th house in his mug. Then for the most part, here's the thing. Learning how to express your dreams, creativity, or delusions around others. Keyword, around others. This where a stellium, or a person who may lack the planets in the 12th house, may have a problem with on both polar shifts. A person with a stellium or a few planets here may do this too much, express their dreams too much, and don't know how to decipher it, if it's a delusion or not, before expressing it. A person without a planet here don't do it enough to be able to know if they're in a delusion or not, or creative or not. So they end up never expressing themselves to even know if they can become somebody. Too lost in la la land and self-sabotaging and automatically suggesting people around them is better than them already. So you have to be careful either side on a polar shift. Not having planets here, or if you got a few planets here and things of that nature. Now, especially a stellium. So that's the masculine and feminine, both sides of that. Now, equilibrium. Force yourself in this area of life, right? Now, for the most part, here's the thing. Learning how to express your dreams, creativity, or delusions around others. Whether you're in a delusion or not. You need to know you are based upon the opinions of others. So you can start going through those ups and downs, because there's a gift and curse to everything. You can actually be around someone who claim your creativity is a delusion, and you will be able to poke holes in what they're saying to be able to see if what you're doing is still creative, and they just don't actually see it. But you have to put yourself in many scenarios so you can interact with many walks of life to be able to understand all the ins and outs. See what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you'll get wet off one of them, especially if it's a negative rejection, and think that's the end all and be all, and think that person is right. But based upon the world that this person is in, the mind that spirit, that soul is in, right? The way that they're reaching conclusions may be faulty. And if you're not well-rounded and you have went through enough experiences how you're supposed to do this, you may take that one person's advice as the end all and be all, and they was wrong. And you may suggest that their conclusion to tell you that your creativity is a delusion is right. And your creativity may still be creative as hell. You just not around the right individuals. So you got to be in all spectrums, self-reevaluation and shadow work when you're participating in this, right? And just doing this alone, right? You don't have no time to be lost soaking in a mental illness. You're too busy experiencing. You're too busy doing what God needs you to do. You too busy adjusting. You too busy being what you're supposed to be. Not lost in la la land in your room on YouTube. You was in your room on YouTube, and then you went outside to use it in your life. That's what my channel about. How can you use these things in your life? That's what I'm saying. So you don't got to be mad and frustrated at work every day. So you don't got to be mad and frustrated around family members every day. So you don't got to be mad and frustrated around friends and who you claim ain't supporting every day. So you can start to put these things on a better perspective. So you can start to have people support. You get the energy back that you put in. It ain't what you do, it's how you do it. Don't be expecting something if you not doing that energy yourself. Don't be expecting love if you not a loving person yourself. You see what I'm saying? Don't be expecting support if you're not a supportive person yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's an instant Hebrew candlestick instant. I almost thought I was on Dolo channel for a second. All right, because I like that green light. And I just seen it too. You know what I'm saying? I seen what the green light do. I want to keep that. You know what I'm saying? I just seen what the green light produce. And I seen the difference with the yellow light produced than the green light, and not having no lights at all and being demonetized. And I want to keep that going. And I need to start building a females channel too. You know what I'm saying? So I need to get on that and go ahead and find a female and start getting to work. I'm trying to decide, should I make the channel right now, or should I wait till I get to New York and whoever at the meeting, or should I make an online meeting or something like that, and then behind closed doors we'll plan how we start doing this in real life, or like I don't know, like I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. You know, I'm a one-man band right now trying to support others. Then once she gets situated, that's for all the men and other women to build off that their own stuff. And then now we got a whole oil running community going. And everybody who's already doing what they're doing, y'all keep doing that, because y'all already the first people that's going to be in to when this thing go to where it needs to go and things of that nature. And we get all situated and stuff like that. And then we can start calculating on how it's going to be done so we could ground it for the next 10, 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Because you always got, once you outgrow something, you have to go to the next level. For an example, I did this for 10, 15 years, and God put me in a position that I could look at this as being outgrown now, because God allowed me to manifest off this to make it bigger now, that we can have a building or a lodge or something like that. So for the most part, or have a community. So that's an example of, okay, it's outgrown, and take what was grown in it, the fruit in it, so it could go to a bigger concession table, so you could start growing in a bigger perspective. And that's the confirmation as the results that God give you to know that that's what you're doing at the moment. See what I'm saying? If you're not in a position that you can't do that, that lets you know you got a little bit more work to do. So join a community that can put you in a position to have a starting point. And when you around a peaceful, godly community like the subconscious community, you already have a head start. You already have a low-key audience. You already have a supporting group. And don't get so wet of what you think an audience and getting likes is supposed to be and supposed to look like. Because we're changing the world in a way where genuine connection is more important than the likes, and it being where you could get people like Sweetie having 2 million followers on IG, but only sell 2,000 records when she released her CD. And you got more than 2,000 people who live in one city and things of that nature, right? So you need to build and support a community so we all can become the 200,000 people ourselves. Do you understand? And we have to start and stay down till we come up. We already got potential. The problem is staying down without getting wet into the expectations not being there yet. You know what I'm saying? And that's what make people be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Then when things start to manifest, they're going to have to go ahead and be all feet out. You can't just hang in 1 foot in and 1 foot out and then wait for the people who all foot in do all the work. And then just by you being 1 foot in, 1 foot out, you think you deserve some type of respiration or some acceptance because you hung around. No. You hang around and you do the work too. Or just know what bed you in. That's it. But we have to support if we want the real in the world. And I think this kind of concept of developing sciences to help us with mental illness need to be in the school. And who else to do it better than us? Not female and men, especially the divine feminine females, taking this knowledge and wanting to teach it to some they friend, or wanting to promote it and go to college, but you not supporting no divine masculine, a man like me, or divine feminine, someone in the soul group teaching this and supporting us so we can actually get this in the school. And by your help and you learning it, you can be a teacher and you can get paid. But you want to have a college debt and go just talk about what you learning on the internet and don't even tell somebody who you learning it from. That's messed up. That's messed up the way they got us in little boy energy, the way I feel as an angel. Stuff like this needs to be shared, not took for yourself. And the divine feminine is useless at this point. The divine masculine is useless at this point. We need to be out here teaching this and supporting this. Divine feminine need to be out here teaching this and supporting it. Not just being in la la land, and then when you get offline, you back to your regular flunked out world. Come back to the world. and support the world so it can look like the things you're into. So you can get into it at ease and find ways to get paid for it. Other than that, y'all just keep developing frustrations with yourself. And I don't get it. And I can sit here and do it by myself all day. It don't even seem like people want to get the hint. That's what I'm doing. So it's like, Lord, how can I talk about it, do it right in front of you, and you're still confused? I don't get it. I don't get it. I can sit here and talk about it. It ain't like you can't go on my YouTube page and see 10 years worth of videos. It ain't like you can't go on my YouTube page and see way before monetization. I still had consistency. I still was manifesting. I still was getting cameras. I still was getting put in positions to outgrow things. So I don't know how else to put the point together. I just don't know. At this point, it's just if you're going to listen or not. At this point. Yes, it take years. Yes, it's not going to be overnight. Yes, I didn't start and it happened after a year or two. You can go on my channel right now and see the date. It's 10 years plus. Yes, things take long times. You got to start somewhere and sometime. That's the only thing I'm here to tell you. I'm not promising you it's going to blow up next week. What I'm telling you is, once upon a time, you have to start, and that's it. And I'm just a living representation of, no matter how long it take, it shall be. Even if it take 10, 15 years. I just so happen to start early. You just so happen to have me as an example right now to start now. The sooner the better. Regardless if you're older. You see what I'm saying? Stop playing with yourself. Stop playing with your spirit. Stop playing with these messages God giving you, these visions. Or what's your even whole point of even being a little bit religious? Last time I checked, every scripture you read in that Bible, a man or a woman is receiving a vision. How about you start using yours? Don't just talk about it, be about it. That's what I was talking about earlier on my other channel. A lot of them are just talking about it, not being about it. It's a whole bunch of wallabies, tennis shoes, soft, not hard, better males. It's time to be about it. Don't talk about it, be about it. And don't say I'm talking about it, I'll be about it. I can sit here and say I did a lot of stuff by myself. I can sit here and say I traveled. I can sit here and say I did lectures and set it up strictly by myself. I can sit here and say I have a team and I did stuff for the soul group and subconscious community and I'm trying to build a team. I can actually say that. I ain't no rapper or no singer or no conscious community that they already got a secret, let's all click up Thanos group. Y'all don't see me with that. My name Dolo for a reason. Y'all don't do y'all see me with that? Even the lectures I did, right? I came and got y'all. Even the videos I did. 30% of my videos is in New York and stuff like that. I came and got y'all. Y'all don't see me like people in the conscious community or celebrities and stuff. Y'all don't see me already with a team, already with setup, already with this, already with that. Do y'all? No. So what else do I got to prove? See what I'm saying? So basically, I'm trying to just show y'all that's what it takes. And eventually, you put in the time of consistency, you will reach a point where you can have a community and you ain't got to be stressed out and worrying why ain't nobody supporting. You got somebody next to you to hold the camera. You got somebody you can hold the camera for. You know what I'm saying? You got some money, you can go do a lecture or go get an Airbnb or go get a building. You got other people that got something to promote. You know what I'm saying? You're in that type of space now. Period. That's the outcome. Because that's what I see. Or who am I even talking to? I'm talking to y'all, right? So that's what we see. So let's get away from all the pseudo and stuff like that and let's be about it now. And this motherfucking shit. I mean, in my mother trucking stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm here for. Ain't no ego involved. Other than that, I'll be somebody up here. Y'all never hear nothing about me doing any of that coming out my mouth. My whole fight will be something else. I'll be talking about the government and stuff like that about something else. Y'all just be seeing me sit here and just like doing other stupid stuff for me to just sit here. Y'all never meet me in person. Never had no possibility. Never be talking about making a school. Y'all never hear no type of energy coming out my mouth about me doing things for people. It'll be a whole bunch of stories about celebrities or just something as virtual signaling for me to get paid on YouTube. It won't be nothing about helping y'all get y'all mind together, putting y'all in positions. Like nothing. Like no holidays we creating, soul group dates, nothing. Like it won't be nothing. Not the potential, not the inspiration to be. It'll just be, oh, Wendell getting ready to upload another video because some celebrity just died. You know what I'm saying? I barely even talk about that. I don't care about the world like that. Sometimes I hate when I even have to participate because that's how this built up. But, you know, I'm just too genuine. I'm too real. Because I'm in real life in my real life. My real life ain't creating a new way of how to get online. My real life is me in real life learning something, and then online is a way to get that out. Thank you so much for the donation, Big Brand. That's why I'm multi-dimensional and talented. Because in my real life, my mind go towards those things. So my subconscious mind is trained to develop those things. So my actions, aka the stuff that more of my time throughout the day go towards, is those things. So I don't have to worry about being a scholar. That's what makes scholars, learning how these things work. So you see the proof in the pudding physically, where a person might spend all day researching. I spent all day doing what God want me to do. So you see the results. Not only is my researching better, but I got more music, I got more science, I got more experiences in life, I got more meanings, everything. So allegories, things to teach is endless. I don't have to stay stuck on one thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm in life first. Then I get online. I didn't create my real life to be online. That's the difference. That's the difference. So I'm a genuine person, basically. Like I'm genuine. So I'm not getting online based upon a bias or just the way things work kind of stuff. My mind ain't even in that mind frame. And what I do in my actual life, my actions go towards more of what my mind be on. So the outcome you see is me having 1,000 mixtapes, me having way more videos uploaded online that I could stop right now, and a person could be online 10 years after me and still can't catch up. Like I could stop making music, stop uploading knowledge, astrology, and everything, and it would take a person 10 years to barely still catch up. And I'm younger than them. So how about that? That's when you with God. When you with God, man, you see these Kemet scholars and stuff like that, they're in their 40s, late 30s, 50s, 60s. They want to pander around their ego, how long they've been in their scholarship for 20 years and things of that nature. And I just came and knocked that out the park. Everything that they talking about, I was talking about the age of 24, 22, 19, 18. Like simple. I don't even know how to be like. I know I'm Uriel now. I've been through that, but like, just when I look at it, now I understand why I was always the big homie, being a little homie, and never being seen as a little homie, and creating intimidation all the time, because this is how I always. So when I'm on the internet, y'all just seeing what I already do in my real life and my upbringing and stuff. That I didn't know was like that. It was just already like that, and I experienced that to know myself. And now y'all just seeing that being played on the internet right now. But for the most part, yeah, we got 2 minutes left. But yeah, for the most part, you know, this is getting our mind right, getting your mind regulated, and get your soul fixed, and things of that nature. But it's about having real life first, and then experiences teach you, and then you'll start to realize everything math came from, everything science come from. So then when you do spend time, you're looking at it from the outside in, from an unbiased equilibrium space, so you're able to have the full circumference of interpreting the information. Therefore, you'll be able to see everybody who's lost in these boxes of information, intellectual properties, based on bias. And you'll be able to convey the message to them to help them be aware of something that they wasn't even aware of themselves, being lost in it. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind. And that's how you become the intelligent, spiritually superior individual, aka the adult, around a whole bunch of childlike spirits that you are around. And Flight Boss, beep. You're now listening to the Mind of Planetary's Mill. I am the Royal Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and mother trucker responsibilities. And it's the Pilot Man here with his amazing friends. Welcome to the subconscious community. And it don't go no further than that. Shout out to the whole soul group, and we're all rising, lowering, and being well-rounded from a circumference perspective of our consciousness. And we're jumping into the subconscious realm, putting to death this conscious, giving new life from a new dark dream that we're in the subconscious world, to give life to a brand new world that we have more glorified bodies and atmospheres that we can really do some superhero stuff. And it don't go no further than that. And that's it. And I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. We're going to get ratchet again tomorrow, y'all. Get ratchet tomorrow again and get back into astrology. And then I'm going to set up for travel.